Good afternoon and welcome back. We are here again, but today we have a very special show ready for all of the listeners. All of them, how many they are, I don't know, 3 or 4? I don't know. But anyway, whoever listens has a big surprise because we have a very special guest. And we plan to have a real good time today exposing all the bad people out there. We have a person that is not only a former CIA, but is also an expert on counterintelligence and all the manipulation of our government and all the things that are going on that people like to believe don't really happen. They do. And we have discussed that many times before, but we actually have a person that is an expert on the subject and can enlighten you and make you see what is really going on out there. And her name is Barbara Hartwell, and she was a guest on the JJ show on Easter 2 weeks ago. I believe she's going to be a good guest on his show again Sunday, but today she's on our show, and we are really happy to have her. Are you there?
Yes,
Hi.
I am, Dr. Carpenter, and thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this.
We're going to sucker to them, right?
Yep.
Hi, Dr. C. I'm here, too.
Yeah, we have a dog boy.
Yeah, dog boy's in the house.
Dog boy, yeah.
Yeah, the one and only dog boy. Arnie sends his regrets. He, I think yesterday was Possum Day, I believe is what he said, and he ate some bad possum. Anyway, you got me today.
Okay, well, that goes well with what we're going to discuss because...
I'm riding shotgun.
Yeah. Arnie is not really been attacked yet. I guess they would if they knew who.
Well, he's been attacked. I remember about a year or so ago, they said that guy reminded somebody of Larry the Cable Guy, and they wish he'd just shut up.
Well, you know, they wish everybody was just like they wish this show was shut down, you know? Shut down Lase Med Inc. and shut down the medical conspiracy shows. That's just the opposition.
I'm excited. I spoke with Barbara on Skype a couple of days ago, and I think about 2 hours?
Yeah,
we went on for a while.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you start talking, there is no telling where you're going to go. Anyway, but yes. And what I thought was, we have been experiencing for 3 years some really very weird events. They were masquerading as being connected with the lawsuit, but in reality, they were part of a general attack on Lase Med Inc. and myself. So the lawsuits and the attempt to have more lawsuits, and amazingly enough, these people have been looking around all over the place for other people to join, so we will be attacked by massive lawsuits that we couldn't possibly handle.
It's a network.
Right. Well, it didn't work because they only found one was a phony, totally phony, but that was the one. The other one, they had to drop it because they presented the lawsuit with 2 women. One was dead and didn't even know.
Is that even legal? I mean,
no, it's not legal because it was not a family filing the lawsuit. It was filing her name. And by the way, they didn't even know her well enough because they didn't know her legal name. They used the name she used. That was not her legal name. We have it on our file, her legal name. So that already tells you she must have been dead before they even filed, and they went on with that, pretending that was a live person. And the other person to the joint lawsuit was somebody that had gotten the treatment for free. So the whole thing, it was completely bogus. But
well, yeah, I mean, these people in the COINTELPRO, they're basically criminals, Dr. Carpenter. That's what we all have to understand.
Okay.
And that's one of the things they called you, wasn't it?
And they called me too, okay? And
you remember the phrase criminal enterprise?
Yeah.
Only got worn out. I mean.
Well, you know, maybe would be good to start out with is just some background for those people who just want an overview of what the COINTELPRO is.
Right. Go ahead.
Should I do that?
Absolutely. That's
what
you're
here.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the official COINTELPRO was an FBI operation, and it was started in 1956 by J. Edgar Hoover. Now, we're talking about, the COINTELPRO, which is an acronym for Counterintelligence Program. All right, the motto of this operation, Hoover's own words, neutralize them. Okay, so anybody that's considered a dissident, an enemy of the state, somebody making some trouble or doesn't agree with the government, we have to shut these people down. And we have an arsenal of tactics by which we can accomplish that.
It's interesting that you use the word to shut these people down.
Really?
That's exactly what I call an agent provocateur, because that's a phrase used in Europe about somebody that hi there.
Yes. And we also use that here too. I mean, there's so many levels of this. It's basically political persecution. That's the phrase that I could use that encompasses everything. It's political persecution. And there's harassment tactics. They use libel campaigns, slander campaigns. And we're talking about some of the less extreme things here now, okay? They do other things, as you well know. When I was talking to Randy on the Skype a few days ago, he had outlined some of the things that had happened. And I wish that you would tell the audience about the neighbor, the incident with the neighbor.
Is that incredible?
Yes.
I mean, it's true, though.
That's so typical.
I mean, it's kind of jumping forward a little bit, and I have told this before on another show, from the point that this slander campaign was well underway, and there were posts being made on lots of different blogs, lots of different forums. One in particular that completely got out of hand was topics.net, and the ringleader, one I like to call head troll, Michelle Wolven, made a threat on this forum one day in the midst of all of her rants about you work for a criminal and you're a criminal yourself and all this kind of stuff. That
she was accusing Dr. Carpenter of being a criminal.
Right. And me too.
And you.
And right. And myself too. Made a threat that she was going to contact our neighbors, that she was going to find out where we lived, contact our neighbors and let them know everything that she was telling everybody else about Dr. Carpenter, which involves, you've read the story. This is not just slander.
Yes, I have.
People died as a result of these lies. Okay, so it's very, very serious.
Oh yeah, I know.
And called neighbors, at least 4 that I know of. 2 were very active, 2 were kind of distantly involved, but threatened to contact neighbors and have them basically informed and indoctrinated into their little group. And I blew it off at first. I thought she was just blowing steam. But about a month, maybe 2 months later, something happened. There was a lot of noise in the garage, and I think the kids were having a fight or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but within 30 minutes.
With 3 kids, what do you expect?
Right. Well,
These are your kids, Randy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And within, like I said, within a half hour, there was a post up on this topics forum. Well, you people sure are loud. Why don't you move out to a farm or something there where you won't bother?
And this is a public posting board. She's posting private information about something that's happening at your house.
Right. All right.
Unbelievable.
And it got more private than that. She dug up things that happened to me in my 20s.
Yeah.
They only got that information from my ex. That is not something they could easily find. He gave him because he was working with them. So wonderful.
But that wasn't the end of it. That was kind of supposed to be a shocking forum. Okay, I'll hold that thought.
Oh, geez, we have another break already. We just started. What do you mean a break? We just started.
OrionTalkRadio.com.
listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we're back from the break, and we are trying to pick up. Let me tell you, it's pretty difficult to remember exactly what we were saying.
I remember.
When we had interruption, because we keep talking during the commercial about other things, and then, oops, what were we saying? So,
yeah,
but as long as you remember, go ahead.
Sure, I remember. And since Arnie's not here, I kind of forgot my manners. You're listening to Orion Talk Radio on oriontalkradio.com and Micro 1650 in Tonawanda, New York, the big shot of the milliwatt. And also hello to everybody on live365.com and Spreaker.com. And people listening on the smartphones on your TuneIn app. Glad you're here. Where I was the blog attacks and the threat that was made involving contacting our neighbors. The post came on the blog forum that the neighbor had heard a loud noise coming from the garage. That was basically your hello, we're here, we're in your neighborhood now, kind of
like we know where you live.
Yes, exactly. Just kind of like what I saw while I was researching your name. Somebody has like 5 pictures of a house in Maine.
We'll get into that later.
Okay. So they know where you are. Big deal. Well, that wasn't the whole of it. About a day later or so, something happened. We have a fish pond in our backyard that something happened to it. It got punctured. Somebody sabotaged it or something, got back there. It wouldn't hold water, so every so often we have to fill it up with a water hose so the koi don't die. Well, I was overfilling it, as I did many times. This lady next door came over screaming, bloody murder. And it was, you got to remember, this is the heat of the summer. And many times I see her out watering her own lawn. She comes over screaming about water getting into her yard. Crazy. Makes no sense. And that didn't
She's probably the one that punctured it because she's the one that's familiar with that place.
Well, that was crazy enough. That was crazy enough. But either later that same day or the next day, she came over knocking on the door and just had this mean look on her face. I want to talk to you now. And okay, what's going on? She says, I know who you are. I know what you are. The whole neighborhood knows what you are. I just want you to know, we all know what you're doing. We all know what you are and who you work for. And I'm like, okay, what do you know? And it didn't take very long to figure out this Michelle Woven creature had actually called her on the phone and filled her head with the same stuff that she's put all over the web.
Exactly. And that's a classic line, by the way.
A stranger.
We know who you are. That's a classic line used by these provocateurs and stalkers.
They know nothing.
No, they don't. But their line is it's an intimidation tactic. They're trying to intimidate you.
Oh, but then a couple of days later, another neighbor just happened to be the guy in the next house down. This was my next door neighbor, this lady. Then the next day, or maybe this female. A couple of days later, I want to say it was on a Sunday or a Saturday because everybody was home. She came up to the front door knocking, and I answered the door. I didn't know the guy. There were 2 different people. There was one guy there doing the talking, and the other guy, just kind of a silent Bob, standing there.
Yeah.
And the guy doing the talking says, I need to talk to you about something. I need to talk to you about something. And I understand you had some harsh words with my friend. Talking about the female that had come over the previous
The other neighbor.
Right.
Okay.
Who had incidentally installed a security camera on her house the day after I called the police on her. It's about appearance, see?
Yeah.
She has to look like the victim. She has to make herself look like the victim, like she's got some reason to be afraid or something. Well, when she's the one that came on my property, I never went over to talk to her. She came over raising all kinds of holy hell. And, well, now it's this other neighbor over here trying to chastise me for talking bad to
Actually, what he was trying to do
his friend.
He
was trying to provoke me into taking a swing, because what happened was eventually, he had a stack of paper in his hand while he was there, and eventually the conversation moved from her to him shaking the stack of paper at me and saying, what the stack of paper was our Facebook page, where we were kind of chronicling what was going on.
You were chronicling the harassment.
Right.
Persecution.
And he's throwing this piece of paper in my face, shaking it, like a stick, saying, you don't have the right to talk about this stuff. Do you understand? Said, I did you a favor. I was trying to be a good neighbor. I didn't tell this person. I didn't tell this person. Oh, well, thank you so freaking much. Come on. But anyway, that's the way it went. And eventually,
well, Wendy stepped in and pushed you away.
She said, get away from the door, because she thought something was fixing to go down.
Right. And she told the guy, what are you here for? What do you want? What are you doing here? Go away.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then the door during the radio show hit by baseball. On
a Saturday. This is while we were still on Liberty News Radio. I have my garage is kind of a hybrid. I've got musical instruments and I've got other things in here, and the mic and the computer. And these people across the street were throwing baseballs at the garage door during the radio show. And when the news break came up, I opened the garage door and I went out there and I told them, if they don't stop, I'm going to call the police. And they just had this dumb look, deer in the headlight look on their face, and their mom and dad were standing there watching them do it. That's the thing. Mom and dad standing there.
But my question...
Then I had a car window broken. Then I had a car window broken a few weeks, maybe a couple of months later. And at one point along there, I had obscene graffiti written on my car, and my headlights painted over. Luckily, it wasn't permanent. Wasn't paint.
And when you drive by, they give you dirty looks if they're out. I mean,
yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, I just should mention this probably because, and this is more of it's along the lines of what happens during COINTELPRO attacks. I mean, the person is a target. That's the word that we always use, because I have a number of friends that are either ex-intelligence professionals or whistleblowers, activists, just anybody like you or me, anybody, the three of us that are on here talking, somebody who's out there trying to expose the truth, trying to do good, trying to offer some service to help people, and you get a big bullseye written on you just for that, okay? Because it's against the vested interests, whatever they may be, the medical mafia, the big pharma, the government, and it goes on and on and on. And so there's like a three-prong attack, and I can tell you what it is. It's classic. It's called isolation, alienation, and deprivation. Okay, isolation. First of all, they try to rip away any support system that you may have. That includes your family, could be your neighbors if you have neighbors that neighbors, family, professionally if you work at some job or something, they will go in, they will find out who your associates are, who your family is, where you live, who your neighbors are, and they will. Is that the music?
Yes.
Yeah, we're fixing to have a commercial.
Have to pick up after the break.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
I think that when we got the break, Barbara was talking, right?
Yes, I was attempting to describe this three-pronged attack approach, okay? And we started with isolation, okay? So by isolating a person, they rip away whatever they can of your support system. They break up marriages. I've seen it all. Not that it's always successful, but this is what they try to do.
My mama was broken already. I was already divorced.
Okay.
But they used him because he was full of resentment and envy.
Well, that's what they do. You see, they they find out anything that they can about your life, okay? And if they can't find anything that's real, that's factual, well, they try to dig up dirt. But if they can't find anything real, there's no problem because they fabricate.
Yeah.
They fabricate a story and spread it around.
Sure, they made up what is a violent assault charge.
Yes.
I got into a little trouble in my 20s. They made up a violent assault charge to throw in there to give it effect.
Well, that's what they do. It packs more punch. Fun, but it's just, you know.
With me, they made up the story that my ex, he's the one that divorced me. That's not true. But anyways, he's the one that divorced me, and because he wanted me to stop what I was doing because he was evil. Gee, the son of Satan was criticizing my behavior. But anyway,
yeah.
But so he divorced me because I wouldn't stop what I was doing. So I was evil, and he tried to distance himself, and he really didn't care about me. And now he has a new family. Well, you know, just fabricating an entire story.
Oh, and don't forget, you're in cahoots with the mayor, too. That's the only reason they have
that came out recently. That came recently when they couldn't shut me down in
crap. It's unreal.
In Oklahoma. Well, but that came out later. Yeah.
Well, yes, but what the point is that in the phase of isolation, okay, isolation is to rip away. They want to leave you alone. They want to make sure you end up alone with nowhere to turn for help, nowhere to turn for support. So that's the isolation. Now we take alienation. Alienation is sort of part of isolation because they want to alienate you from anybody and everybody that's close to you, professionally, personally, whomever it is, your children, your parents, your family, people at your job. Whatever they can do, and of course they in that idea of alienation, they have to make people believe bad things about you, and that's where it comes in. Right. I know who you are. I know what you are.
Oh, they even found old things about my wife's former husband, and it's unbelievable.
She divorced him, so obviously she thought he was a bad person.
Well, what they tried to do is they tried to present that kind of in a ambiguous way to make it look like it was me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The thing that the guy did to try to make it look like was Randy.
Well, what we have to remember here, okay, this is really important to understand, and I think anybody that has become a target, I mean a real target, as you obviously have, Dr. Carpenter, and now Randy, you are also a target. What you have to remember is this is a highly organized operation. It's not random. It is. Sometimes it seems unbelievable. Like everywhere you turn, one of these incidents is happening, and these events are happening. And at first, the target usually finds it hard to believe. They think, what, am I losing my mind? I mean, how could this be happening? Why are people treating me so badly? Why do I have all these terrible things happening to me?
And you try to talk about it, people don't believe you.
And you try to talk about it, and people will say, oh, you're crazy, or why don't why don't you just lighten up and relax?
Right.
And
and I can't forget the one fairly well-known talk show host that wrote me back and said, excuse me while I finish laughing my butt off. I'll get back with you when I'm done laughing.
Mocking you.
Yes.
Mocking you. And you see, that's one of the tactics also. Now, I mean, we're talking about, there's levels of this, okay? But before I get into the levels, let me just go into the deprivation. We've covered isolation, alienation, deprivation. Deprivation is basically they want to ruin you financially, okay? And so that you will be deprived, aside from being isolated, all alone, alienated from everybody you know that they can alienate. And then the third thing is they don't want you to have transportation. So they hit your cars. They've destroyed about 7 or 8 of my cars over a period of decades.
Jeez.
And anyway, we're not going to get into that now, but they want to make sure you got no transportation. If
You're
possible,
homeless.
They will make you homeless. They will drive you from your home. If you have a rental, they'll contact the landlord and make a complaint, or they'll set ups kind of thing. They'll try to set up, in certain cases, a false arrest if they can.
That's
like
what they
Randy
were trying
said,
to do,
they try to provoke you into a violent confrontation.
So you could be
that
arrested.
if you like throw the first punch when provoked,
Yep.
you will be arrested. Okay,
Yep.
there's a whole
And he had a witness. He had a witness with it.
Okay, you see? and that's how they operate. So, I mean, the deprivation in some of these cases is so bad that I've known several people that I'm not going to, well, one of them I may name later because his case is public, but just let me give the overview. I've known several people who were driven into homelessness and either living in their car because they had no place to go.
Or downtown in a cardboard box, right?
Didn't even have, it wasn't that bad to my knowledge of these particular people, but certainly they would have liked to see that happen. They want to destroy your life. There's no doubt. I mean, this is an operation that is, once you become a target, they're hell-bent, literally hell-bent on destroying every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
And
once I realized that the ringleader of this now she's not the ringleader. She's actually
the main puppet.
Well, she's the most visible one. Michelle is the most visible one. Once I realized, though, what her background was, the first thing that came to my mind was George Tiller. Remember this doctor? Shot in the face in a church by a religious fanatic because he had performed abortions. Yes. And it was this kind of culture, this culture of abortion, anti-abortion fanaticism that led up to that. And at that point, we were kind of fearful in a way.
Yes.
You know, they're trying to stoke the fires and get somebody to take a shot at Dr. Carpenter or something.
Yes, exactly. And here's the thing. Now, I can now go over, now that I've outlined the isolation, alienation, and deprivation, okay, now we can go into the structure of how it operates, okay? And for me to do that, I should explain something. I don't know if you've heard of Ted Gunderson.
I've heard of him, yes.
Okay.
I read about him on your website.
Okay. My website. Well, Ted Gunderson was the second highest man in the FBI, right under J. Edgar Hoover.
Who was an evil creature.
I called Ted Gunderson the COINTELPRO Kingpin. And how I got to know Ted Gunderson, he died last July, but how I got to know Ted Gunderson was that I actually worked with Ted Gunderson for 3 years, from 1997 to 2000, until I broke off my association with him. And the work that I did with him is, when he came out of the FBI, and he claimed to be a whistleblower. See, I had no idea when I first met Ted that he was the COINTELPRO Kingpin. He was a very smooth operator. And so I went on the lecture circuit with Ted, speaking publicly about government corruption and all that stuff, and, insider secrets of government corruption. We went on radio and TV shows together and worked cases together, investigations of cases. And when I broke off my association with him, it was because I found out about crimes that he himself had been involved in, and I didn't want any part of that. So when the attacks started, well, the attacks on me had started before, because they had started. I got targeted when I was still inside CIA because I wanted to get out, and I didn't want to stay there because of what it was like.
We got another break coming up. It's amazing now. Okay, we're back, and Barbara was explaining all the inner works of these pros.
Yeah, well, the COINTELPRO. By the way, I like your bumper music. That's Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
We have all sorts of weird...
I met the guy. He was actually a really nice guy. He opened up for Huey Lewis in the 80s.
So what happened to him? Why did he die?
He got killed in a helicopter crash.
Oh, helicopter.
Yep. Yeah, they hit the side of a mountain.
Oh, jeez. Was it sabotage?
Some people that I knew that also knew him thought it wasn't an accident. But I don't really have any details about that.
But
so.
those things, it seems to me like...
yeah, what a shame.
Well, you know, when I was working the reason why I always think so is because when I was working at IBM and I'd uncover something they were doing that, and I reported to headquarters, then they tried to push me off the road with a car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of things. No, I'm trying to remember, where were we when we... Oh, I was talking about Ted Gunderson. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on...
Well, that's fine. Go ahead.
But it's important that I say this because, remember now, I find out, over a period of years, I found out about these various activities that he had been involved in. And so I cut off the association. Well, shortly after I did that, Ted started up this huge COINTELPRO campaign. Remember, he's the master. He's literally the master of the universe when it comes to... He's gone now, but I would consider him the master manipulator of the COINTELPRO universe. So we're dealing with the top of the heap here in terms of COINTELPRO, and I was targeted by this man.
Yeah, before you, I remember an Illuminati video that I saw where he was giving a lecture about satanic shadow government and things like that.
Yes. Well, ironically, you know what's funny? Ted Gunderson married a Satanist in 1998. This is when I was still working with him. He married a Satanist. Her name was Diana Rively, and she was the ex-wife of Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan.
Anton LaVey.
Yes. He married Anton LaVey's ex-wife, who was a Satanist. And he called me up on the telephone, and he was all excited. Oh, I got married, Barbara. I got married, you know. And I said, well, who did you marry? Oh, I married Diana. So I knew who she was, and I was kind of shocked. But anyway, then the marriage didn't last. And Ted wrote me a letter, a handwritten letter. It was on FBI stationery. It's posted on the internet. I posted it years later. And it said the marriage didn't work out, you know, and it was like very in his own handwriting. And I had the letter in my files. Well, anyway, I finally went out publicly. I had enough of what he was doing. And I started exposing these things that he'd done, including married the Satanist, the founder of the Church of Satan's ex-wife. And so he went on all these radio shows, and he was like blustering, yelling and screaming, no, that's not true, you know, and he lied to investigative journalists that called and asked, is that true? No, it isn't true. Well, guess what? Then finally, last year, I published the letter. I held it for all those years, and I kept saying, I got the evidence, and I finally published it. And what could they say then? You see what I'm saying? So now here I'm targeted by this guy, the Mr. COINTELPRO Kingpin. And that answers Randy's question when you were saying, oh, my God, how much they must hate you. Well, look who I had running the operation against me, Ted Gunderson. Okay, so what I've seen in these operations and how they work. Okay, you take a person like Ted Gunderson. Most of the people, what needs to be understood is that there's very few real professionals. I'm talking about intelligence professionals like Gunderson. Like he's a super spook. There's just no doubt he was gone, but he was. All right? And you get a few people of Gunderson's caliber, okay, who are professionals. And what they do is they gather around them. They recruit a loosely organized network of minions. I call them minions. Most of them are just stooges, government stooges. They're like G-man wannabes. Oh, like, I want to be somebody. I want to be important. And so they think, oh, I'm going to be somebody now because I'm going to go after targets.
Does that remind you of... of the peanut?
Oh, yeah.
The poisonous peanut. I'm going to be famous. Somebody that said, I'm going to be famous and I wanted to remember my name because I'm going to shut down Lase Med Inc. See?
Exactly. See, these people are like hoodwinked big time into thinking that they're a crusader for justice. Oh, I'm going to go after that evil CIA agent, Barbara Hartwell. I'm a crusader for justice. That's what the professionals make these little stooges believe. They flatter their egos. You see? Yeah. And so they're not professionals. They're amateurs. But you see, but then they're given orders. This is what you're going to say. They take a basic lie. For instance, about you, Dr. Carpenter. I'm assuming that what they were trying to say is, oh, this Dr. Carpenter, she's a quack. She's hurting people. She's killing people, right?
Well, the base lie, the base of the entire lie was this lie that her therapy makes cancer spread.
Exactly.
Which is the antithesis of the truth.
And it always is, Randy. You see, that's what they did exactly to me. They would they'll take something that they know you are, and they will reverse the polarity, and that's what they will say. That's the standard operating procedure.
Pot and kettle.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, they get a network of stooges. Now, let's get to who are the stooges and the minions. Well, we already defined that they are amateurs for the most part. They're usually ne'er-do-wells. They're people that don't have a professional career of their own. They don't have a life of any kind. They don't really have like a family or a life or a career. They don't stand for anything. Okay, they're like these. Some of them are like drifters or just ne'er-do-wells.
Well, in this particular case, the ones that they found. Right, but in this particular case, the ones that they found, their common link was that they all had a loved one that at one point had been to Dr. Carpenter.
Well, of course, because what they do is they target people who are vulnerable.
And bereavement and all the grief, and they have to take it out on someone.
Spot in order to create enemies for their target. All right, so that in that case I could understand. But what they also use, and this is what has been used against me a lot, is they will find a criminal. And I'll just give a brief example. A criminal. There was this criminal, he's still out there too. His name is Timothy Patrick White. And this guy is a real piece of work.
Oh, that's right. We talked about him.
Yes, he was arrested in 2001 for drug trafficking. Okay, now it so happens that this guy, he lived in Denver, Colorado at that time. He's arrested for drug trafficking. He was convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison. What he ended up doing was 5 months, and I'm going to tell you why. He made a deal with the feds. When they went in for the bust, because I knew people that were there on that day, okay? And I did speak to a former federal agent, okay? What they found was a huge hidden room in the back of the guy's, like he lived in a warehouse or something. In the back of the place, they found a hidden room with all this sex gadgets and pornography and women's clothing. He was a transvestite, a cross-dresser. Okay? Not only that, okay, all right, that's not against the law. As sleazy as it may be, it's not against the law.
Yeah, but it's against honor and honesty and...
Yeah, sure, but they found child pornography.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, child pornography, for which he was never charged. So he makes his deal, okay, with the feds, the corrupt feds, and he was one of the ones that was sort of a minion of Ted Gunderson, all right? And so it ends up that he's told, here's the deal. We'll let you out after he did 5 months of time. We'll let you out, and you're going to go after these people. He got a get-out-of-jail-free card to target me and others. That were, most of the people that he was sent to target were like former intelligence professionals like me who were a whistleblower. He also targeted a good friend of mine, Gerald Sosby, who's a former FBI agent, and there's a whole list of other people that Tim White has targeted. Anybody can read about it on my website. I have many reports on this Tim White. And what he does is he's a stalker. He's a psycho. He's a psychopath, and he stalks people on foot in a vehicle, on the internet. I'm surprised he hasn't targeted. I bet you anything he's going to target you, Dr. Carpenter.
Don't say that. Oh, please.
I'm sorry, but anytime I go on a radio show, this guy comes out of the woodwork like a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, but he would have to have any direct or indirect connection to our case, which he doesn't, so that's why he's not coming.
Yeah, no, but he'll target anybody who's a talk show host just for having me on the air.
Oh.
He targeted, oh my, I have a long list of people that he's targeted. People from Oracle Broadcasting, people from RBN, Liberty News Radio, on and on.
Wow.
We got to the end of the first, Liberty News Radio went out of business. We got to the end of the first hour. We are going to come back after the news.
The medical conspiracy will
and continue
return
this
in just a moment.
Okay, we're back for the second hour, and as you know, we have a lot to talk about and a lot of information. Well, a lot of information. So we're giving the mic back to Barbara so she can go on and continue explaining to all of us what really is behind all these messes.
Okay. I think when we took the break, we were talking about how these people recruit criminals. They give them a get-out-of-jail-free card. I know a couple of these criminals that have been targeting me for over a decade. That's how long it's been going on. It's the same people. And all of them, all of this loosely organized network that they had formed, the COINTELPRO network, they were, until Gunderson died last year, 2011, they were under, he was the COINTELPRO kingpin. So we were talking about this Tim White, and he's a stalker. I've lost count of how many women have filed for restraining orders against this lunatic. He's a lunatic. He'll stalk somebody on foot, in a car. On the internet is where he does cyber stalking. All right?
Right.
Crazy Joe Davola.
Yeah, every time that almost without exception, every single time, if I appear on somebody's radio show, which I do quite often, he will contact the talk show host, and he'll start harassing, saying, oh, that CIA bitch, she's a CIA bitch, don't have her on the air, she's this and she's that, you know.
Oh, he's got something coming if he does it to me.
and no, it's unbelievable. He's got a list of targets like a mile long. Yeah. And so you could be a third party. You could be an innocent bystander, just a host on a talk show. And suddenly their names are out there with these libelous, slanderous stories that are fabricated by these people. So a big part of what they do is the libel and the slander campaign, which I know you've experienced.
Yeah.
And the fabrications are often bizarre. And I think we talked during the last break, about how the polarity, if you're whatever you are, they will say you're the opposite. Like you, Dr. Carpenter, you're out there with innovative technology that helps people and saves people's lives and spares them the misery of the traditional cancer treatments, the cut, burn, slash, all that stuff. Maiming, that's right. And meanwhile, what they'll do is they'll twist it around and say, no, she's a killer. What she's doing is makes the cancer spread. Oh, it metastasizes. And it's the opposite of what is actually happening, right?
Absolutely. Yes. That's exactly what's going on. That's what they're doing and saying.
Okay. Now maybe we can get into why they're doing it. I think we all know why, but I think it's important for the listening audience to get a deeper understanding that the people who become targets, they don't just go around targeting people. You know, it's not just a random type thing. If they target you and you've seen in your own life and just what they've done, how much money must it cost these people? How much resources and manpower, if you could call them men, which you really can't, okay? But you know what I'm saying, okay? How much power in terms of like resources, hirelings, stooges and minions to go out and do all this stuff.
And this lawyer did it pro bono, by the way.
Yes.
They made a big deal out of that, the fact that he did this case pro bono.
Yes,
sure.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the point is, if they're going to target you, then you'd best believe that you have something, that you either have something that's a threat to them or doing something that's a threat to them, because it threatens their vested interest in what they have. And obviously in the medical mafia, the big pharma, this is as you well know, the cancer is a cancer industry. It's an industry. They don't make people well, they make people sicker, and they kill people just with their treatments, and they're making billions and billions of dollars, and they don't want somebody like you to come along and say, hold it, I've got something that's beneficial, that
and it doesn't cost much at all.
It doesn't cost even a fraction of what these huge hospital bills and treatments cost. Well, of course, if that were to catch on, if people were to understand and learn that here's something that can really help humanity, what would happen to them? They'd be out of business.
Did you know that the gross profits of big pharma are actually greater than the gross national product of several countries?
I can believe it.
I mean, it's staggering.
I can certainly believe it. And I mean, look at the culture that we live in. You know, it's a culture that pushes a pill, a happy pill. Are you depressed? Take a happy pill. You have this thing, you have restless leg syndrome. You go on a commercial on TV. Yeah. You got to take this pill or that.
I got restless middle finger.
Oh, by the way,
restless middle finger syndrome, people. Come on, embrace it. Embrace the affliction.
Okay.
That's our plug for this.
Do you know that the restless leg syndrome is a side effect of antidepressant?
I can believe it.
It's caused by antidepressant. And then you have to have a medication for the side effect caused by the medication you're on. Well, and that goes on and on.
But that's the problem. You know, the problem is that they have a stranglehold on the culture. Okay, instead of a person saying, oh, gee, I'm depressed. Well, why don't you try going to church or just even not a church, or join something.
Go watch a funny movie.
Ask your doctor.
Or go do something constructive. Take a walk on the beach. Why do you have to take a pill?
But go see a doctor and see what the doctor says. You know, people are guilty.
Yes. Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. The culture itself is it's pathological. The culture itself is pathological.
And now they're TV stars. We got this talk show in the morning, The Doctors. Have you seen this thing?
No, I haven't. I don't watch television.
Well, they've made pop stars out of these. What is it? Four guys in white coats. I guess they have
a reality show or something.
Sorta. It's a talk show where they bring up different topics. But these four authority figures. One of them is eye candy for the women. The other one is eye candy for the men. And then there's two kind of older people that have the appeal to authority kind of aspect. But the whole thing is trust your doctor. They're making pop stars out of these people because we know everything about what's best for you.
Well, it's a form of mind control and manipulation.
It is. That's what it is. And the funny thing is, if they look at statistics, who are the people that get to be really old, like 100 years old or so in the late 90s? Who do that? People that have never seen a doctor.
Well, that's right. I can tell you that for my entire adult life, and I'm 61 years old now. I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, no, you're 29 one more time.
No, I'm 61. But here's the thing. In my entire adult life, except for in acute emergency situations, I have only used naturopathic doctors and chiropractors and homeopathic physicians I've used. And
you have to be careful.
Okay? I will not go to what's that?
Even you have to be careful about those also, okay?
Of course, yes. But what I'm saying is I don't let anybody give me any drugs. I don't take drugs. Even in a situation, okay, where they say I should be, no, I'm not doing that, okay, because I am against that. I believe that God put on this earth herbs and plants that heal people, and that's what I believe, and that's what works for me. And I think that in terms of...
He also put poison, though, so you have to be careful.
That's true. You got to be careful. Yes. But look at pharmaceuticals.
Oh,
There's nothing but poison.
Those are poison. All they are. And they cause more problems that you had to start with. Okay?
That's
what
right.
I am trying to tell people is just because something says it's natural does not mean that cannot hurt you. It depends. You have to be careful. That's what I tell.
Go eat some oleander.
I also understand, yes, I understand I think.
Oh, look at the beautiful oleander.
Yes. That you told me that Dr. Carpenter had also been targeted by some of these other folks that are in that, like, so-called natural. So I understand that, yes. Yes. There's got charlatans everywhere.
Well, and also they live on the fact that the patient keeps coming back and they keep selling and selling and selling and selling, and that's how they make a living. Okay, but that's unfair because the patient can be set free of all of that.
Yes.
We got another break coming up. I can't believe the breaks today.
That's an old punk band called Fear from the 80s. They had a song called I Am a Doctor, so I was looking for songs that had to do with doctors.
It fits perfectly. You can trust me. Oh, sure.
Well, you sure have a flair for comedy on this show.
Well, that's just the way it is. My father had a really big sense of humor, and my mother spent her life trying to tear that down. So did my second husband, but to do with me. But some Italian are born with, of course, my father was French, and so I don't know how that happened. French don't have sense of humor, so I don't know how that happened on him. But,
no, but you have to laugh about it. I do.
Do.
I mean,
otherwise, if you don't, you're gonna go crazy. Of course, that's what they're trying. That's what they're trying to accomplish.
what we're talking about is evil, and we know that these people are evil. There's just no other word for them. But yet some of the buffoonery, these people are just buffoons, some of them.
They are. Well, the attorney in Arkansas that brought about a lawsuit that was fake from day one. They picked this woman that was a shyster. She had no really visible income to survive. I know what she was doing. She was a party girl in L.A. But anyway, so she had no visible income, and she wanted to rip off people in any way, and that's why they used her with a phony lawsuit.
There's also another aspect to this, Dr. Carpenter, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll tell you what they're trying to create, okay? What they do is they try to create a circus around whatever it is you're doing. They've done the same thing to me, so that people are thinking, oh, this is ridiculous, this is ludicrous, and therefore it discredits the whole thing. It doesn't only discredit the target, it discredits the people that are going against the target too. And people just throw their hands up and say, enough already, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
And so they give up about the whole thing.
Yes, because they're trying to create an aura of ridicule, okay, and stupidity around the whole thing. That's done by design.
Have you ever, are you familiar with something, because, I mean, you know more about this than I do, but just a little bit about COINTELPRO that I've read, the Delphi technique?
I've heard of it. I actually don't know what it is.
Well, it's
the term, but I don't know what it is.
And I know so little about it myself because I've read a few articles that are out there.
Describe what it is.
Well, it involves a lot of what you've talked about, marginalizing the people that don't. It has to do with the Hegelian dialectic process.
Okay, that I understand, yes.
Creating an artificial consensus.
Exactly, an artificial consensus. And also...
It's done in, ideally, I think it began in town hall meetings and things like that, but they carried it over into internet forums. They had a thing called the diamond pattern, which was they'd plant 4 people. They'd plant one in the front row center, one in the back row center, and then have the other 2 on opposite ends of the meeting hall. And they would appear to be from completely different directions and not connected to one another.
Exactly.
But they would steal. They were change agents. Right. Change agents is what they call it.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that term, too. You know? But no, you know what, Randy? I'm from the old school. So some of these newer things like that what you just mentioned, I've heard the phrase, but I didn't know what it was. But it's all describing, I think, the same thing. I think what I'm describing about these operations and the way that they work, like the tactics, like the libel and slander campaigns, the harassment, the persecution, the stalking, the sideshow circus atmosphere they try to create. These are just like all different angles that they're coming at you in order to basically shut you down and destroy you. And I think one of the things you definitely wanted to talk about was the financial ruin, didn't you?
Yeah, because our business comes from the web. People search for alternative because nobody likes to be have body parts chopped off. Nobody likes to be poisoned. Nobody likes to be treated with radiation. They don't. Okay, there are some people that they think, oh, my doctor knows what he's doing, so I'm going to follow my doctor. But the majority of people really do not like that type of treatment, especially because of the results. There are, even though doctors keep telling you, oh, we have great results and we got that down pat right. Breast cancer, we are doing it perfectly. We have 98% success. It's an absolute lie. They have 2-3% success at the most, and they call it 98%. So people are aware of the fact that really the success rate is not what they claim, and they don't really want to go through that torture. So they're trying to find an alternative way. And the easiest way right now is through the web. Has been taken years, but now it's through the web. So what they did, they turn around and destroy my image and the company image on the web, so people that are interested in coming for treatment see that, all that negativity, and they just don't do it.
Well, exactly. But that's the purpose of the libel campaign, the slander campaign, in the larger package of the neutralization campaign. What I said from the beginning, Hoover, his motto was literally, quote, neutralize them. Neutralize them. Make it so they can't move one way or another. They're no longer a problem because we're going to shut you down.
Right, but the idea, I don't know how honest he was, Hoover, but he probably wasn't. But the idea,
no, he wasn't.
Right, but the idea of doing that was in the days of the Cold War to stop an enemy, not somebody that is helping humanity.
Well, exactly. But you know what, though?
Yeah.
Hoover targeted all kinds of people, any political entity or group. He targeted anybody. It wasn't just like the Cold War. It was American citizens that he was targeting. Dissidents, people who disagreed with the government. And now it's grown so huge in terms of these counterintelligence operations.
How dare you disagree with the Komen Foundation?
Yes, exactly. How dare you disagree with the government?
Well, in my case, how dare you disagree with the AMA? And that really became obvious when they were doing the deposition, which was a farce for the trial, saying, you did not tell the patient about chemo. You did not inform him about chemo. I'm an alternative. I do homeopathic. It's just an issue of being a healer, not an MD. I never claimed to be one. I don't believe in chemo, and I don't support chemo. But this particular person that brought the bogus lawsuit, in a record that took me 3 years to get a copy of her medical record. They were always 3 different attorneys. They were covering it up. In the record, it shows that she had 2 consultation to the separate opinion. They all came to the same conclusion that she needed a mastectomy, chemo, radiation. And she openly refused and went to look for something else. Instead, in the lawsuit, we're indicating that I'm the one that steered her away from standard treatment.
Yeah. That was the patient's choice. She made her own decision. Right.
And then she was an idiot. She didn't listen to me, and she was having... All she had is a outrageous immune response because she was taking immune boosters, which I told her not to do. And she had an amazing immune response. So she went back to the system, and also because she couldn't take money out of me, she was trying to get me to pay her to spread the word about our treatment. But I said I would pay a referral fee, but she wanted a regular weekly check whether she did anything or not. I mean, and she lived in California. See, how could I control what she was doing, Yeah. Oh, we got another break. I mean, jeez.
Already?
Yes. Can you believe we only have half hour left?
This is just zipped.
Yeah.
I knew it would go by fast.
Yeah.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Yeah, we picked
Orion Talk
song.
Radio.
Yeah, we picked that song because of all the trial messes and everything. So everything that we have as a reason behind it is not just accidental. Okay, so let's get back to our expert and let's hear what else she has to say.
Well, I don't know if you call me the expert, but mostly I'm a target. That's how I'm trained.
Not too much, you know. The woman knew too much.
Hey. It takes one to know one.
Yeah.
One target.
That's got to be our motto.
I'll tell you this, that I did, even though I know how these people operate, I know exactly what the protocols and how they do things. But most of what I know, I have learned from being a target. I did massive investigations of this over a period of decades. So
it's amazing that they still haven't changed their ways.
No, and they never will. What we can hope for, see, this is what I encourage everybody to do. What I encourage people to do to fight back is to stand your ground and expose them. You're always consistent. You come back with the facts. See, these people don't have any facts. They have a hall of stories. Yeah, they have a hall of mirrors with a smoke screen, and it's all illusion. They don't have facts. They're not based on facts. Everything they're doing, it's like from the art of war that in their case, the warfare is based on deception. They're deceiving people. These are deceivers. I call them demonic deceivers.
Yeah,
because
sure.
They will try to destroy anybody who's of God, of the light, of goodness. That's their agenda.
Yeah. But see, the art of war was just almost fair fighting, okay?
Yes.
The book written. It was almost over fair fighting, but there is nothing fair going on in this.
No.
It's not the art of war. It's just
they're not clean fighters. They're dirty fighters is what they are.
And they have no reason. The reasoning is dishonest. It's not for the good of anything except themselves.
No, it isn't. It's from themselves. But then again, you have to look at the whole culture. You have to look at the larger picture of this new world order and what they're attempting to control. And
Pharma owns our government. Look at the lobbies that control our government.
Yeah, but all of these drug companies, they make 400 or 500 billions a year. So they get fined for doing things that are not right. They get caught, and after years they finally catch them. They get fined maybe even $500 million. What is that compared to 400 or 500 billion a year? Nothing.
Nothing. And, it's blood money for these people. They're killing people. They're destroying people's lives, and that's how they make their money.
I know. And then they, of course, what they do, like all the guilty people do. I know. I learned that with my second husband. That's what he was doing. Everything he was guilty of, he accused me of.
Well, that's a standard tactic, Dr. Carpenter. It's a classic standard tactic. What they are, they will accuse. For instance, some of these people are government agents, okay? Like Ted Gunderson, for instance, when he's gone. But okay, Ted Gunderson continued to be a government agent. He so-called retired in 1979 from the FBI. Well, he was still in with those people, obviously, and CIA too. And what does he do? He turns the tables and he writes a letter to me. It's a public letter. And he said, here was the quote. I have it in memory. He said, "You admit you were once in the CIA. Once a CIA agent, always a CIA agent. If you attempt to expose them or get out, you either go to jail or you die." Now, that was the statement of Ted Gunderson, the COINTELPRO
That
kingpin.
sounds like mafia.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
is
mafia
exactly
does.
like mafia. Exactly. So now he makes this statement in a public letter, and you mentioned this idiot Kennedy, Randy, earlier. He's got a huge section of his website dedicated to libeling Barbara Hartwell.
But then he turns around and says, but I don't have the time to read what she wrote.
Right. Oh, sure. Right. This has been going on for 12 years. Believe it or not, 12 years now, okay? So Ted Gunderson makes the statement. He publishes on Kennedachi's website, filled with lies, and then all the little minions and stooges, the little hirelings from COINTELPRO, they run around spreading this lie, and guess what? Now I can't get a donation from the public like I used to get. I used to get donations from people who supported my work, all right? I don't charge anything. It's all free, but I hope to get donations so I can live, so I can survive.
Right.
You know, and now, oh no, don't trust her. She's a CIA agent. I got blacklisted from any number of radio programs, and the websites that used to publish my work, they blacklisted me, and that's how it works. They create a lie, like about you, Dr. Carpenter, or about me, and then they spread the lie, the big lie, I call it. They make one major lie about the person. It's the opposite of what they really are.
Well, if you were still CIA, I doubt very seriously we'd have gotten you to come on our show. I mean,
unless I was a COINTELPRO agent, no. Some of them, I mean, that's what they do. I mean, it's like a lot of these people that are out there, like Alex Jones. I give an example of a shill, Alex Jones. I mean, you know, I don't want to make I
said that from day one about Alex Jones.
Well,
I can't handle it anymore. I just try to get the word out. I just try to sit here and be a moral person, do the right thing.
That's a perfect imitation.
No, that was a sound file. That was Alex.
That was it.
That was really Alex right there.
Oh my God! It sounded.
It's a clip.
I listened
it's
to
just
that, and I was laughing so hard, from, you know.
Tim, we got one of his statements, but it's hilarious that he says that I tried to do the honest thing. Oh, please.
Yeah. No,
I just try to do the honest thing and please all my sponsors.
Yeah, and he's the most amoral person that I think I've ever, or one of the most. He's right up there with the Ted Gundersons, and he was a supporter, by the way, of Ted Gunderson and his whole cabal there, and. You know, this is what they are, and so I think it's really important to understand too. Now, Alex Jones sabotaged your paid advertisement. You put an advertisement which you paid for on that station, and what does he do? He neutralizes you by coming after right after your ad and starts talking about bad mouthing. Well, we got to be careful about these cancer treatments. Could metastasize, spread the cancer, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Dr. Carpenter pulled her ad that night.
Good.
But see, actually, when I first started trying to advertise on GCN, what happened is that he's the one that jumped on the station and said, no, we cannot have this ad going. This is an absolute lie. No, we can have this. Why would he say that? He didn't know anything about it.
No.
So what happened is the manager of the advertising department was a pretty smart guy, and it was really a great guy. Everything went well as long as he was there. After that, everything went down the tube. So what he did is search on the web. And he's the one that gave me those reports and found out that not only Rice University was copying me, and I knew that, but he found Stanford copying what we were doing. I did not know about Stanford. He's the one that found it. And he's the one that found about Dartmouth. So he's the one that said, well, if these people are doing it, it's just the same thing, well, why not? Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what overruled Alex Jones, but he did not like it.
Yes, but here's the thing. You see, this is it's so important for people to know. I never used to waste much time talking about Alex Jones because I always knew what he was. And I told Randy in a private conversation what Alex Jones did to me in 2003. He had me ripped off the air in the middle of a show. Guess who I was exposing? Ted Gunderson and his cronies, and I was ripped off the air. It wasn't even Alex Jones' show. He threatened the talk hosts, saying, you got to get Barbara Hartwell off the air right now. And the host Jeremy Floyd. He refused, and then Alex Jones came in and physically hit the button or pulled the plug or whatever they do, okay, and ripped me off the air. And the host said, "I will not be censored. How dare you?" And the host was threatened by Alex Jones.
You're listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we're back after the last break. We got just the last few minutes. So we are going to go on and have Barbara discuss the things they do to basically silence you. Even though it's illegal, they find different ways to do it so that you won't inform the people.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about electronic sabotage.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me over and over. Every time I go on a radio show, they say, "Oh, we have technical difficulties." And they'll put an echo chamber on the line so my voice echoes.
Actually, did one time today.
They did that already?
I heard once. Didn't you hear it, Randy, that her voice was fading out and then coming back like an echo? Yeah.
And I don't know if that was intentional. I've heard it accidentally happen before. Just a little breakup. It sounds like a digital breakup.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened today. I don't know what it is and who's guilty of this, but it happened. Okay.
Well, the story I wanted to tell just real briefly is that I was on another show, and I think the first time I was on the show was April 7th. His name is Howard Nema, and he has a show on Saturday evenings. It's Informed Radio Network. Anyway, I was on 2 weeks in a row. I was on the 7th, and then he invited me to come back last Saturday night, same time frame that your show is on. And so I was on there. And he has like a streaming video normally where he just, videotapes or whatever they call the technology. You get the video of him, the image of him interviewing the guest, and the guest is on the phone.
Live stream. Well, they have something similar on Orion.
Live stream. But he also, as a backup, he had some kind of video camera so that in case the live stream went out. Well, during this interview, somebody, whoever's out there, okay, we know who they are, but we don't know their names, but we know who they are and what they are. Okay, they came in with some kind of remote, energy technology and fried his entire camera in the middle of the show. It's a $2,000 camera. It was ruined and destroyed.
God.
And it never happened till I was on the show. I mean, this is a pattern. And, he said to me, "It's okay that they did that." He said, "Now I know I'm on the right track." In other words, when you have the truth, when you're out there with the truth, you will become targeted. They will do anything they can to stop the truth from coming out. Just like Alex Jones. Alex Jones didn't want the truth about these criminals that were posing as patriot heroes like Ted Gunderson and John DeCamp and others that are connected to them. So therefore, I become the villain. I become demonized. They try to get me out, silence me, because he's got a cover for these criminals. That's what Alex Jones is about. And I think it's time that people know that, because I don't believe Alex Jones is an honorable person.
No.
And he's unfortunately corralled the major listening audience in the whole patriot movement or conspiracy movement.
Right.
And that's who they're listening to. They need to stop.
He's the Rush Limbaugh of the truth movement.
Yeah, they need to stop listening to Alex Jones. And they need to turn to other sources.
I think he's actually a government agent.
Oh, I do too.
The mentality is this, because that happens in Europe, okay? What happens is the public is discontent, is resentful of what is going on in the government, so they need a way to vent it out. Otherwise, you have
opposition. That's what it's called.
Right.
Exactly.
And if that doesn't happen, then there is a revolution. So what they do is they have these people listen to Alex Jones, and Alex Jones tells you something that is actually happening, so a partial truth to steer you, and people think, okay, see, he's out there, he's doing it. I don't have to. Right. I don't have to do anything else because it's happening. He's doing it. He's not doing anything. He's appeasing you.
And not only that, Dr. Carpenter, Alex Jones is a fear monger. He offers no solution to any ill that's happening. All he does is rant and rave and yell in his bullhorn. He doesn't have a solution as he ever offered. Alex Jones.
He never, no solution. It just, this is happening and put fears into people. He makes them afraid. And you know why? Because just like in the cancer industry, they make the public afraid, not of the treatment. They can make them afraid of the word cancer, so they can be controlled, because people in fear are very easy to control.
Well, I'll tell you that, I don't know if you've heard of this operation. It was a CIA operation from way back, but it was called Mockingbird. And it was,
I heard the name.
Okay, it's when they use, now these code names change again and again and again. So I'm not talking about the literal, official program, okay? But that's the kind of program I believe Alex Jones is involved in. I have no doubt in my mind.
He's a repeater for somebody.
He's working for somebody, and he's making money, selling videos, and he's out there.
Actually, you know where the biggest money comes from? Somebody that lives in the Austin area told me, okay? He's making people afraid, and he keeps telling the people that the monetary system is going to collapse. So this is run out and buy gold, because you say you need to buy gold, so when the financial system collapses, the monetary system in the U.S. collapses, you have gold, okay? And these idiots go and buy gold, people that cannot afford to do that.
Just because Alex Jones said to do it.
He said that. And then they told me and you know what group of people is selling gold without being accused. We're not saying it because we don't want to be accused of being racist, but you know what group of people deals in gold. And then what happens? He's gotten so much percentage of the sale of gold that he owns a lot of real estate in Austin. And those are people that live there. He has made a fortune. He makes him afraid. These people turn around, buy gold. And mind you, in the U.S., you're not even buying ingots of gold. You're buying a document that tells you own that gold.
Right. And I really think it's important. I do. I didn't used to feel so strongly, but I think it's important at this point, after all the damage Alex Jones has done. He did great damage to me personally and many of my friends, okay? And I think it's time that people know Alex Jones is COINTELPRO, period. Avoid
That's all
him.
he is.
I got laughed at for saying that once, too.
I
The
know.
same well-known talk show host I mentioned earlier.
Well, that person is probably some kind of an idiot then. Or he's a shill himself then. Maybe.
He's one of them himself, and that's why he's covering Alex Jones, okay?
Yes,
But
yes.
that's what I am saying here. I could tell that's what Alex Jones was. And let me tell you something. Some of the things he says are completely ridiculous.
Yes. That's right.
They are totally ridiculous, and people believe it because he has said that.
Exactly.
And that's why he said, I don't believe there is a cancer treatment that kills cancer.
Because they think Alex Jones is, they mistakenly believe that Alex Jones is heroic, that he's a patriot. Alex Jones is no patriot.
He's a money-thirsty shark.
Yes, I agree.
Patriot, Paytriot.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's misleading people, making them believe that he's out there to help him, and he's ripping them off.
Alex Jones is the Pied Piper of the Patriot movement.
I know. It's just unbelievable. If there is a Patriot movement, okay, let me tell you something. I don't believe there has ever been somebody that loved the United States more than I did. I mean, that was the beginning and the end of everything for me when I first came in the U.S. And they sure have taken that away from me.
Well, yes, and I think a lot of people don't appreciate what we're supposed to have here. They just don't appreciate it. They don't realize what it's like in some other places.
Right.
And there's those
But
of
they're
us
ruining here. They're ruining it here.
Yes,
and then,
they're ruining it here.
And then they have these other jerks out there then write things on the web that say, leave America, leave it, come to this other country because you won't pay those taxes. You're going to bring your money and you're going to get ripped off. Come on.
I believe, I love this country. I believe that till the day I die, I will still continue to defend the Constitution and defend unalienable God-given rights for every individual. That's what I stand for.
That's the point. This is our country, but all these people have violated the Constitution.
Exactly.
All these people are destroying it, are destroying our freedom. What we need to do is not leave, make them leave. Those
Yes.
to push them aside.
I heard that.
I agree.
And that's what we need to do. Let's get our country back. For real. Not listen to somebody like Alex Jones and all those others. And with that, also, cancer is a made-up story because it's not that difficult. Yeah, if you do nothing, you eventually die, but it takes you a lot longer to die of cancer than it does to die of treatment.
Well, that's for sure. I've had personal experience with people that I've loved that has happened to.
They get killed by treatment, they get not killed by cancer. The fear is treatment. And what we are doing here in our company, and people don't like to hear it, is eliminate the fear of cancer. There is an easy, simple way to resolve it. You don't have to go to all these expensive gadgets, expensive way to detect cancer, because they don't. They tell you they detect the cancer. Early detection. You can't tell whether you have cancer or not at that stage. You have to believe them, and then they can destroy you and take all your money. So people need to realize what is going on. We have sharks everywhere, and they need to recognize who the sharks are.
Early detection usually means early malignancy.
Okay, we got to the end of the show, and we're going to be back next week with Barbara again because we didn't cover everything. So she's going to be back again on our show next Saturday. Tune in, and we'll finish up all the things we needed to cover.
Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I look forward to coming back next week.
Yeah, that'd be great. We got to read what we covered so we